Hey everybody, and welcome back once again. This is Derek, author, webmaster of Gematrinator.com. I'm going to share with you the numerology of the fall of Kevin Owens off of a steel cage from last night's WWE Extreme Rules 2018. A couple people brought this up to me. They said, a lot of people are drawing comparisons between this fall and the fall that Mick Foley, aka Mankind, took off of the Hell in a Cell back against the Undertaker in the year 1998, just a little over 20 years ago. So I figured, there might be something to it, and did a little digging with the numbers and found that, yeah, absolutely, these events are connected, and it's pretty undeniable. And if you're wondering what I mean when I say these things are numerically connected, understand that on this channel I teach the language of Gematria, and this is something we citizens, those of us who went to, regular schools, we weren't taught about this language growing up. And there's good reason for it. It's because it's what's used to script our news, to script our professional sports, anything you see on the television. Hollywood uses this system to code its movies. And the WWE, as part of the Cabal network, so to speak, that practices the Kabbalah where Gematria originates, they're using this as well. And a lot of people wonder why wrestling sucks, because really it does. I mean, look, you're looking at a former PWL world champion one time, and it was just backyard wrestling back in high school, but wrestling was always a passion of mine growing up, and I don't know why. I can't explain it, but, and there was a time where wrestling was pretty cool. It was fun to watch. Like, you could talk about it at school, and no one thought it was weird. And the more time that goes on, they've made it more kid-friendly again. And it just seems to suck. They don't give the fans what they want ever. Now, granted, they don't have any good competition either yet, which is part of the reason they're not motivated to be that good. But what you realize is that they're doing everything by the numbers, so they don't really care what the fans think. They got their TV deals. The wrestling fans are going to be there all the time. They're just out doing numeric ritual quite often. I think that's really explains a lot of what we see on television. So let's explain how this pans out here. So to start, let's just glance at the fall. You'll see it was pretty sick. This is taken from a fan in the audience. I mean, that's pretty wicked, right? Like, you can call wrestling fake. Stuff like that you can't fake, right? Now, what I will say is it seems like it's more of a stunt than a bump. Granted, it probably hurt, but notice how this table had a big, airbag underneath it that slowly deflated after he landed on it. So his fall had a fair amount of cushion. Mick Foley's fall from the Hell in a Cell back in '98, that didn't have any cushion. I mean, he went right through that table. The announcers at the table didn't even know that he'd be jumping through it. And he crashed and burned pretty hard, but I think Kevin Owens will be fine. So when we're talking about this language of letters and numbers, let's talk a little bit about how this works out, right? So first of all, Mankind took the dive off of the cell against The Undertaker. And the Hell in a Cell was one of The Undertaker's signature matches, along with, I think it was like a casket match. They had buried alive matches. But a Hell in a Cell is one that he helped make famous. So in Gematria, we also have these large number ciphers. And what you're looking at here is English extended. So instead of numbering the alphabet 1 through 26 like we do with the alphabetic order, instead, these numbers are amplified. That goes 1 through 9, 10 through 90, and then 100 through 800. And this cipher most closely mirrors ancient Hebrew and Greek Gematria and isopsephy charts. Using this extended method, Hell in a Cell sums to 201. And when you reverse the alphabetic order, Z is 1 through A is 26, The Undertaker also summing to 201. But what really stands out to me is the location of both of these falls. The Undertaker versus Mankind, this match occurred at a pay-per-view called King of the Ring back in the year 1998. And it was held at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this is significant because last night's WWE Extreme Rules event was also held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Different arena. They've since upgraded since they tore down the Igloo. But either way, both of these falls were in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pretty interesting. So Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is a city that's closely associated with the number 13, and I'm going to explain why. So in numerology, these zeros are ignored in the results of these phrases. So here, the Undertaker summing to 150 and 60. You could also read this as 15 and 6. The city of Pittsburgh in the reverse alphabetic order equals 130. So when you drop the 0, this reflects the number 13. Using the standard reduction method, we also call this Pythagorean gematria. This is the method where each double-digit number is reduced to a single digit prior to adding it to the equation. And in this method, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania equals 103, a lot like the number 13. So Pittsburgh, 130, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 103. And the reason I point this out is because the gematria of 13 is found in both wrestlers in this match. So 13, using the reduction methods, equals 45, both forwards and reverse. Mick Foley equals 45 and 45. It was him who took the bump off the Hell in a Cell. And he was wrestling against the Undertaker. Undertaker equals 45. Also notice how Undertaker equals 117 using the alphabetic order. The number 13 equals 117 reverse. In ordinal, 13 equals 99. That's the same as Mick Foley, 99. And just for yet another connection to 13, check out his Jewish gematria of 533. That's 13 times the 13th prime number. So when you write out the number 13 in Jewish gematria, you get this value of 347. And this is pretty significant. On my channel, I talk a lot about murder by numbers and the eclipse sacrifice code. Well, think about how eclipse equals 69 in the alphabetic order. 347 is the 69th prime number, and in Hebrew gematria, the word for sacrifice equals 347. So the number 13 summing to 347 as well. 13, a number that's connected to the moon. There's 13 lunar phases every couple of years. 13 equals 99, just like the moon equals 99. So I talked about how the number 13 is connected to both of these wrestlers and the city that they were performing in. Well, Kevin Owens, on the date of his bump last night at Extreme Rules, check out how old he was. He was exactly 34 years and 70 days old, with the end date included. 347, just like the gematria of the number 13. But that's not it. Kevin Owens was born on May 7th, 1984. His opponent who threw him off the cage was Braun Strowman. He was born September 6th, 1983. And if you included the end date, you get 34 weeks and 7 days between their birthdays. I suppose you could argue this is the same as 35 weeks. It kind of is, but you see how they line this up. This is no mistake. Kevin Owens' full name, his real name, is Kevin Yannick Steen, which sums to 70, and he was 70 days after his birthday. Another thing that's cool about this duration, if you take out the weeks, again, measuring from the birthday of Braun Strowman to the birthday of Kevin Owens, it's 244 days. And earlier I mentioned Hebrew gematria and the gematria of the word for sacrifice. Well, the word for kill in Hebrew gematria sums to 244. And it's funny, somebody edited Wikipedia here and said that his career came to an end at the hands of Strowman. And you know this was a fan who did this because they didn't even spell Strowman right. But I don't really think his career is over, but that might be the angle they play on television. So how funny is it that the man who killed his career is 244 days older than him, and the word for kill in Gematria equals 244, right? This is how these things are set up. There's no doubt about it. And Kevin Steen has been used in rituals before. If you look up, do a search for my video on the Austin bombings, he was also a part of that as well. All right, so this is where it gets really interesting, I think anyway. Commonly, I cover the Jesus crucifixion code. So the numbers of Jesus Christ, the crucifixion, all of these things seem to be centered around, or I'm sorry, all of these rituals we see involving celebrity sacrifices seem to do with the same numbers. They seem to be related. And there's a little bit of this going on too. I mean, think about a wrestler named Mankind falling from the top of the cell through a table, kind of like the fall of man. This is very symbolic, and I'm going to explain how. So this Hell in a Cell match between the Undertaker and Mankind occurred on June 28th in the year 1998. If you add up all the dates in this numerology, all the numbers in this date, I should say, it has numerology of 151. That would be 6 plus 28 plus 19 plus 98, summing to 151. And in Jewish Gematria, based in the Latin alphabetic order, the newer English letters at the end, Hell in a Cell equals 151. And the most memorable Hell in a Cell match ever occurred on a date with 151 numerology. Really makes you think. But 151 is a significant number in the crucifixion code. Jesus Christ equals 151 using the standard alphabetic order. Now, if you reverse the alphabetic order, Jesus Christ sums to 146, and look at this. Measuring from the Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Mankind to last night's steel cage match between Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens, we find it's exactly 1,046 weeks. So again, these zeros are dropped. This becomes a 146, just like the Gematria of Jesus Christ, 146. And again, ordinal 151 like Hell in a Cell, which occurred on a date with 151 numerology. So 100%, this is a numerical tribute to the past. Another video I need to re-upload. I need to remake a video on how the WWE had 3 ring collapses involving The Big Show. Those ring collapses were 722 weeks apart. The 3 buildings that fell on 9/11 in 2001 in New York City fell 7 hours and 22 minutes apart. So the WWE is doing this quite frequently. Now, what I also want to point out about this duration is that we're looking at a span of 20 years and 18 days. And here we are, Extreme Rules 2018, in which this steel cage match played out. Looking at the numerology here of the first Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Mankind, it also had numerology of 133. And in Gematria, Kevin Owens equals 133, using the reverse alphabetic order. Something else I just picked up on right now is that yesterday's numerology had a number 60, 7 plus 15 plus 20 plus 18. So you have a 151 over here and a 60 over here. Hell in a Cell equals 60 reverse reduction and 151. So yeah, the date numerology of last night also syncing up with Hell in a Cell. So we mentioned how this date also had 133 numerology. Kevin Owens equals 133. Think about the number 33 in terms of the Bible. Of course, Bible equals 33, reverse reduction. The story of Jesus in the New Testament, he's crucified at the age of 33 per the Gospels. When Mick Foley took his dive off the cage, notice he was born June 7th, 1965. He was exactly 33 years and 3 weeks old on the date of his fall off the cell. The fall off the cell had numerology of 33. 6 plus 2 plus 8 plus 9 plus 8. Date numerology of 33. Last night, when Kevin Owens jumped off the steel cage through the table, that had date numerology of 33. 7 plus 15 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 8. Both of these dates, 33. Jesus crucified at age 33. And recall, crucifixion of Jesus Christ equals 303 in the alphabetic order. No mistake, this is how our language is set up. They say Jesus was crucified under a solar eclipse. Eclipse equals 33. The 33rd prime number is 137, right? And these prime number relationships, I don't think I mentioned it in this video, but it's super significant to the study, something I talk about all the time. Using the alphabetic order, Kevin Owens equals 137. Again, the 33rd prime number. I'm going to bust open a cipher called Trigonal Gematria. And what Trigonal is uses associated triangular numbers with the alphabetic order. So A, the first letter, gets 1, plus 2, B, the second letter, equals 3, plus 3, because C is the third letter, equals 6, and you just keep going all the way to the end. Add every number up 1 through 26, you get 351. The name Michael Francis Foley equals 1,370, the 33rd prime number with a 0 after it. So isn't that interesting? 33rd prime number here. Kevin Owens, 33rd prime number there. Both of them falling off their cells on a date with 33 numerology. One more thing I want to toss at you about the numerology of Foley's dive. It occurred on a date with 61 and 43 numerology as well. These I call the primary numerologies, the life lesson number and reduced. And really, these three numbers here, like I always think these three are the most significant. Here you have the life lesson number, the fully reduced, and then what I call the full numerology. And all of three of these are super significant. As far as the 61 and 43, Jesus equals 61 reverse, and then Jesus Christ equals 43 reduction. Now, a number that's really significant to Christianity is the number 93. Christianity equals 930 in English Sumerian, which is the alphabetic order times 6. Oops. Adam is said to have lived to the age 930. The sun is supposedly 93 million miles away. God's son equals 93. Jesus is from Nazareth, which sums to 93. And he died on a crucifix, which sums to 93. They even say he was crucified on the 93rd day of the year between 9 and 3 o'clock. So this number is just repeated all over the religion. And the reason I point this out is because hell in a cell equals 93 in the alphabetic order. And as a tribute to this hell in a cell, they used Braun Strowman. Strowman equals 93 in the reverse alphabetic order. Notice he's also got the 33 reduction. Mick Foley's Hell in a Cell match occurred on the 179th day of the year. In the alphabetic order, Braun Strowman equals 179. Finally, I just want to look at the number of months between the birthdays of Kevin Owens and Mick Foley. Both of them were born on the 7th of the month. And we find that they were born exactly 227 months apart. And if you follow my work, especially the work I used to do in the beginning, 227, this is really what I consider one of the most significant numbers to the study. 22 divided by 7 equals 3.14 on a calculator, and in Gematria, it sums to 314 in the alphabetic order. Again, Gematria is geometry within the language. Geometry summing to 108, alphabetic order, and reverse. And when you talk about this number 108, this has everything to do with the sun and the moon, our light during the day and our light during the night. The sun is allegedly 108 times wider than the Earth and 108 times its own diameter from the Earth. The moon has this same property, 108 times its diameter from the Earth. And in Gematria, full moon equals 108 in both ordinal and reverse. Because again, this language of letters and numbers having to do with Gematria and dates on the calendar. All right, everybody, so that's going to do it for this video. Just wanted to show you that absolutely there was a heavy numeric connection between Mick Foley and Kevin Owens for this particular date. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream there. Thanks for watching, Truth Seekers. Hope everyone has a good one. God bless. Keep seeking and speaking that truth. See ya.